Don't you miss those days?
Oh,
When
yes.
when it was like, you know what, who left or right didn't matter. When business owners
Yeah.
just said, I want to please everybody. Now everybody's got to have an agenda.
Yes.
I don't.
Yes.
My agenda is help people.
There you go.
Because I have people that are extremely different than me politically. I have people that are extremely similar to me politically. And if they come to us and ask for help, we do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, go.
Jennifer Hardy Har.
Believe it or not.
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana Show.
The Lawyer Dana podcast.
Wow, we have a lot to talk about.
And we're going to do it right after this.
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana Podcast.
Would you classify me as very political or just very correct? I don't know. It's entirely up to you.
It's not politically correct. It's just correct. We've had actually. So you're really the first on the right side. Besides, I'm trying to stay pretty neutral without saying which side that I'm on.
Sure.
If you research it, you can kind of figure it out. And I do have a side. I like to be on a side of truth and actual correctness and doing good things and education, learning, entrepreneurship.
Don't you miss those days?
Oh,
when
yes.
it was like, you know what, who left or right didn't matter. When business owners
Yeah.
just said, I want to please everybody. Now everybody's got to have an agenda.
Yes.
I don't.
Yes.
My agenda is help people.
There you go.
Because I have people that are extremely different than me politically. I have people that are extremely similar to me politically. And if they come to us and ask for help, we do the same thing. We help them. We help all of them.
I had on my podcast, I had a business come on, a Texas business. They do spirits, Rebecca Creek Distillery, right?
Yeah, cool. I know that.
And so they took a chance and they came on and we just talked about yummy tasting booze. That's what we talked about. No politics. Maybe we got into the economy. How's the economy treating you? Great line from that. In the alcohol business, he said to me, I'll never forget this. He goes, when times are good, the alcohol business is good.
Mm-hmm.
When times are bad, the alcohol business is great.
That is
I'll
true.
I'll never forget that. So that's about as much politics as we went into. But, I've approached some other people who are like, oh, you're a conservative. We don't want to do that because they're afraid of a stigma attaching to them. We can't talk to each other anymore without this whole cancel culture thing. It's really unfortunate.
No, it's totally
I find that
unfortunate.
conservatives really are people that are usually good to talk to. And here's what I think.
But
it
what
is.
happened to just being real with one another? Just be real.
Yeah.
Be who you are. And
Well,
it
what
just
I find is
doesn't
it's the
exist.
far extreme, and I don't even like to call them like far extremes. I think it's the jerks. There's just jerks that are
See,
out there.
I'm an extreme guy, but I'm a really nice extreme guy. I mean, you see, but I have liberal friends who I would crawl over broken glass for.
Yeah.
I have every relationship I had with somebody across the aisle has never been put in hock by me. Have I lost friends because of my political perspective and because of the last administration? Sure. I mean, that's happened, but it's never been put in hock by me. I don't believe you lose personal relationships over politics. I mean, politics comes and goes.
Yeah.
Friendships and personal relationships are supposed to endure all of that if it's real.
Right.
I think the only friends that I've lost because of politics are Facebook friends.
Well, I'm off Facebook.
do you
That's
really
a whole
know
other
those
thing.
people? So tell us more about yourself, because we may have some viewers that don't know you, may have some viewers that love you, may have some viewers that hate you, and hopefully they can learn something by the time we're done today.
Well, right. I mean, I have a moniker. I made up a moniker for myself to distinguish my worldview.
The Liberty
Loving
Loving Latino.
Latino.
Liberty loving
Yes.
Latino.
You don't. So I hope this doesn't come across as race. I always look to her if I'm about to say something that like she knows.
See when she goes when she does
when
this,
she does that,
that's a sure sign you're about ready to step in.
you
it,
don't
son.
look Latino to me.
I don't.
But here's probably the thing is
My
most people to
husband's
me.
half Vietnamese, so he doesn't look.
To me,
half
everybody
Vietnamese,
just
so,
looks like
like, I
people.
mean, it
The
just-
more and
yeah.
older that I get, the less I see. It just like looks like a regular person to me because I see so many different types of people, and I like so many different types of people. I'm honestly one of those type of people that I just don't care.
Actually, I had it was actually a compliment. I had some people I used to work with in the news business when I was doing news, and individuals said to me, "You know I'm gay, right?" And I said, "No." and they go, "That's what I love about you, is you don't care."
Yeah.
You don't. It didn't matter. The relationships are the relationships, and I think that's we get stigmatized. Oh, you're a conservative. You must hate gay people. Not at all what happens. And so when you live your life and you really don't care, you don't pay attention to those details. But when you, the reason why I identify myself, and I get in trouble with some people on my own side for this. Why don't you just call yourself an American? And I said, well, I am an American, but I have a heritage, and everybody ought to be proud of what their heritage is, because it all contributes to the fabric of America. That's what's so beautiful about this country is that you can have a heritage, and it's all American. Oh, are you from Germany? Great, you can be an American. You have a family from Mexico or from the Northern Triangle countries? Great, you can be an American too.
Yeah.
It's a celebration in my view. So when I
agree.
And the reason I identify myself as a liberty-loving Latino is because there's some other Latinos out there who don't love liberty. They're Marxists,
I don't get that.
Marxists, Leninists, left-wingers.
I mean, the people that have gotten on the boat and come on, or made a raft and swam from Cuba, they get it.
They get it.
But
it's all. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is or what your heritage is. There are people on the left and there are people on the right. There are people who believe in empowering government. There are people who believe in empowering the individual. And that's universal. And the idea, what I've always resented, and that's why Liberty Loving Latino was born, I've always resented being put, CNN says, well, because you have brown skin and because you have a Latino surname, you must be for illegal immigration, and you must hate the Constitution, and you must be a left-winger. It's like, well, no, no. And the truth is there are diverse ideologies regardless of your skin color.
Oh, yeah.
And, I get into conflict with people not because of their skin color. It's because of their ideology. It's what you believe is where you have disagreements with people.
Yep.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, and I think that what the Democrat Party is doing is trying to buy votes, and that's why the border's open. And there's just horrible tragedies that are coming over the border. We need to have border control, not from preventing good people from coming in. It's to prevent bad people from coming in, preventing all the drugs from pouring across the border. And
why is it permissible for every other nation on the planet to have legal immigration, but the United States is prohibited from having legal immigration? We must have illegal immigration, or else you are racist if you believe.
That's nonsense.
I've got a great line for you. The next time you guys have a conversation with somebody that's on the left, and when you say, well, I think we got to have law and order on the border, legal immigration. Well, that's racist. Oh, well, why don't you tell me what race illegal is? Go ahead, tell me what race illegal is. And then they're going to, with the first cogent thought maybe this leftist would have, they're going to go, oh, wait a minute. That is wrong of me to assume that if you believe in law and order, that's somehow racism. It's become a catchphrase, and this is how my political opponents win arguments. They just say, oh, you're racist. Oh, okay. Well,
as soon as you go to name calling, the argument's over.
That's what they think, and that's why I think the Salcedo show.
But what I think is the reverse of that.
Exactly.
If you've called names and you've gotten down to that, you have no argument left.
Right. You're not making an argument.
Right.
You have no argument, so that's why you go to racism, and that's why the Salcedo show and some other friends of mine who are black and conservatives are disruptors, because they spent decades, and lots of CNN and MSNBC spent lots and lots of money to make those with particular skin pigmentation unassailable, so long as they were members of the left wing. But the minute you get individuals who are of pigmented skin and they start saying things like liberty and freedom and the Constitution, then the other side gets really worried.
Right.
And they don't give you a voice.
Oh, yeah.
So I was watching your show yesterday. It was a great show. By the way.
Thank you. Thank
great
you.
Show. So one thing that really I have been looking at with our world right now, or in the United States, is the unemployment rate. And we have an unemployment rate, but jobs are being created like constantly. So, and I see it everywhere. There's a help wanted sign everywhere you go.
Right.
So what is what do you think is the cause of this? Like, everybody wants to blame COVID, but what do you think is the real cause?
Bad policy.
I think so.
It's bad policy. I mean, I saw another story. There were our children. It's going to be the lost generation because of they want to blame the China virus. That's what I call it, the China virus, because that's where it originated. It was never political until you criticize a communist, and all of a sudden, you can't do that.
West Nile virus. I mean,
exactly. The Spanish flu, the German measles.
all-
all of a sudden, because you're criticizing communists, we can't say that. We can't call it the China virus. Anyway, I saw a statistic that showed that our children are way, way, way behind in math and reading. And they said it's because of the pandemic.
we already were before the pandemic.
True.
Yes.
And it's even worse now because of the pandemic. No, it's not because of the pandemic. It's because so-called adults made stupid decisions not based on science, but based on politics. And we made as is the case with so many things in GovEd, we made our children pay the price. And back to the unemployment rate, we are making silly decisions in this country. As you know, the economy, I have a lot of fears about what's coming our way. Unemployment's always a lagging indicator, and we're already starting to see signs of as companies are starting to lay off people, and it's all false. The economy that we have built up right up to this point has been based on stimulus money, which is printed money, which is going to run out. And
Absolutely.
Once it does,
And when you give out money for nothing,
It's
all you
just-
get is inflation.
Exactly.
And you destroy the country.
and the whole house of cards is there's always a price to pay for whatever happens, and I think we're going to start, or we're actually already starting to see that. So I think
And
the
when the
unemployment
government gives out money for people to do no work,
right.
then how do you get an actual person to go out and do work? I had a friend of mine who I worked in 16 years ago before I became an attorney. I waited tables, and he was one of the waiters there. He was one of the head waiters. Great waiter, great guy. Everybody loved him. But he would drink when he's not at work. And so when the government started giving him the same paycheck to stay home, he drank 24 hours a day, drank himself to death, and he's no
Dear
longer
Lord.
with us.
Dear Lord.
And there are several of those type of stories.
Yeah, and everything can be traced back to policy.
Yeah.
Bad policy. Individuals were compromising our American values of hard work. Everybody, that W word you mentioned, there are people who are my political opposition who break out in hives when you mention that word. And by the way, if you talk about work, that's racist. By the way, if you got to work for what you earn, that's racist. Oh, okay. Everything is racist. And
I've been working 18, 19-hour days for a month straight, 7 days a week. And in doing the podcast, I've added the podcast into an already unbelievable type of schedule. And I fundamentally disagree with the fact. I mean, everybody has the ability to go out and work and earn a living in this country, and you should do that. And if you do that, if you earn what you get if you earn what you receive instead of somebody giving it to you for nothing, you're going to value that, and you're going to do proper things with it.
and it's real.
And it's real.
Right.
And it's real, and it's something you accomplish. The dignity of work. I mean,
Exactly.
Reagan was very big on the dignity of work. When you give somebody a job and you give them a sense of accomplishment, it's a value set. It gives them tremendous value. Even though what you just said was brilliant, I'm sure it was. But look, I think that it is all the bad policies coming out of government undermine the value set that we have in this country.
Absolutely.
Right.
And they keep
trying-
spending money. I don't get
Yeah.
that. They keep spending money. When are we going to learn that
Well,
lesson?
and you're trying to teach your kids. Like I try to teach my kids, hard work is where like if you want something in life, you have to work hard for it. And it is so sad because a lot of my kids are around kids that don't have that, where parents aren't teaching that, or people I've worked with in the past, it's like it's always a hammy. Gimme.
Government should walk by our side, not ride on our back, and that's a philosophy that I share. It's another Reaganism, but it's fundamental to, I think, the American experience. Government ought not be your end all be all.
Right.
Let the people flourish, Reagan said. Set up a system to where the people can go out there and create and
Exactly.
innovate and get the heck out of the way.
Well,
The
and
government
you brought
takes.
that up in your book too, in Liberty Rises, and Jack Vega, how he's like, sorry, I really enjoyed your book. I really like the part where he's talking about government being in control, and how the people do not need to be fearing the government. The government needs to fear the people,
Exactly.
and
Absolutely.
And we don't have that today.
No, we don't.
No. Too many people think government is what takes care of them, and it's not. Government should protect our borders and protect our freedom and stay out as much as possible.
That Constitution is the government's job. Maintaining the Constitution and keeping it in force is their job, and they don't do it.
Well, they're buying votes.
Well, right.
Evil comes in and ruins society the moment that a politician realizes they can use our own money to buy votes for themselves.
Yeah, the public treasury can use the public treasury. And what we're in a situation now is the American government is, and actually state governments and local governments are so laser focused on doing things that they were never intended to do. They're never authorized to do, and they're neglecting the things they should be doing. Mississippi, for example, Jackson, Mississippi, they can't drink the water because 40 years of money was flushed into politicians' pockets to grease palms, and all of a sudden we can't drink the water. And that, where the tax money was given, the taxes were assessed, and the tax money was given, where did it go? Nobody's paying attention because, trust me, government is the exact wrong way to go.
And there's something that's actually was even concerning me this morning, and I thought it would be maybe interesting to talk with you about, is what California is doing with electric cars. An electric car is incredibly damaging to our environment because of the massive amount of mining and ore that has to be stripped out of the ground. An oil, we've seen them all throughout Texas. There's cattle, nice land, and there's a little, 20 by 20 square foot thing with an oil derrick on it, or a pump, and it's pumping from deep out of the ground. You know how much land has to be stripped out to make the battery for one single electric car? And now you're going to do it all in California?
Have you seen a lithium mine before?
Oh, it's horrible. You're poisoning children most of the places.
Exactly.
And you're making that happen in a third world country that doesn't have any environmental regulations, that's going to acidify all of the water, all the land, and just destroy the planet. But, California, they'll be clean.
Oh, no. Wait. It gets even worse than that. You're right. We don't even have enough resources around the world currently to make one generation of electric vehicles. Not even one. That's number one. Number two, it is more costly to recycle a lithium battery than it is to make one. So what is going to happen to these lithium batteries in these cars that go bad? By the way, it takes about anywhere between $25,000 to $30,000 to replace your lithium battery in your electric vehicle.
You replaced a battery in your car?
Yeah.
I've got a car out here. It's like $100 and something a year because every year, for whatever reason, that car, and it's a 2006 Impala, which I will keep forever, because I earn my own money.
There you go.
And I know when spending it, right? But I couldn't imagine if I had to pay $30,000 every year to replace my battery, or even every several years. That's insane.
But imagine all that lithium.
And you have $30,000 worth of lithium waste.
Yeah, exactly. That's all going into California landfills. That's all going to.
You're right.
It's all going to contaminate the water table.
You're right.
And so, from the mining to the production to the disposal.
Oh yeah.
Green energy
is
worse
the most, than nuclear waste.
Yes, it's toxic.
Nuclear waste is highly concentrated and actually very easy for the amount of energy that it produces to contain it. Yes, it stays around for years and years.
You want to get frustrated? There's a solution to it. It's battery solution. It was created back in 2012 by our Department of Energy. They gave out $15 million of your dollars and my dollars and your dollars to a company. They developed a vanadium flux battery. You know how with these cell phones, you use them over time, and you know how they don't hold a charge after a couple of years. They start.
Yep.
Well,
about 2 years.
That's the lithium degrading, and lithium batteries do that. The vanadium flux solved that. They last 30 years. 30 years without losing the ability, virtually no degradation in the charge. This solves our solar and wind storage capacity problem. Only problem is the American company that was given to it was ripped off by communist China, and the Department of Energy that you and I pay for fell asleep at the switch, and now China makes it, and no American company makes it.
Why? Why not?
Because they allowed the patent to go to be sold and the licensing to go from one company to another overseas company, and the Department of Energy didn't check. Oh, that's a Chinese company.
Why would they even honor that patent then?
Well, guess it's gone now, and it's over in communist China. The people who are setting this agenda,
who, by the way, doesn't honor any of our patents.
Exactly. It's in communist China, and so they can't even do their own green energy agenda correctly. They're such screw-ups because our government is too big and spends too much of our money, and our elected officials have no prayer of administering it. So our money gets flushed down the toilet for the benefit of the communists, and then now we're setting ourselves on this course to where we're going to strip mine the earth to fulfill this energy,
the entire planet,
this zero carbon agenda, which is going to end up poisoning the planet. Yes.
It's nonsense.
It is. It is. And the bridge fuel that we really need is natural gas, and we've got it in abundance in Texas.
Oh yeah.
That's going to finance.
How do you go from energy independence with what does it say that within what was it? Within 2 years, we were energy independent, and then we were independent for 2 years. So, and then something happens, like Ilhan Omar said. Something happens.
Something happened to somewhere.
But some people did something somewhere, referring to 9/11, right? I was like, but something happens, and now we're no longer energy independent. Immediately because of that something.
Yep.
What was it? 70 executive orders on day one that basically destroyed the oil and gas industry
in America. Oh, it was wonderful for Russian.
And then they let that pipeline that have been preventing for years.
Yep.
To connect from Russia into Germany, right?
Nord Stream 2.
Yes. Which now Germany's now dependent on Russia.
And now
it's a major geopolitical
Russia just shut
problem.
down Nord Stream 1. They just shut it down. Oh, they found a leak, and so there's now no more energy flowing in. Now, wouldn't it be great if Germany had an American partner that could generate liquefied natural gas, and we had a system already in place so they wouldn't be relying on Russia? Oh, no. That's not what happens in Joe Biden's Green New Deal America.
Well, it gets worse. I don't know if you've heard about this, because oil is not a quick cycle turnaround.
Nope.
And they canceled all the potential for oil to be found, drilled, explored. So we're at the peak of what's available, and it's only going down and getting worse and worse and worse.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden we need oil. So now we're asking the other companies, why don't you ask Texas? Why don't you ask Texas?
Yeah.
And you don't even have to ask Texas. Just stop stepping on the throat of the oil and gas industry in Texas.
The way I think that what this all boils down to is that the other side is trying to create an industry that is behooven and dedicated to them. Traditionally, the oil industry and natural gas industry has been on right-leaning because they're business leaders and they're business owners, and they like to make money, and they like to be responsible business owners. And so the left has viewed energy companies as in the pocket of the right for so many years. So the left wants to create a new energy paradigm that'll be betrothed to them. And that's what this whole transition away from carbon-based fuel over to this renewable fuel, which again is going to be like everything else these people do on the left. It's all toxic, and it's going to destroy us.
I mean, the amount of pollution, that's what concerns me. Carbon and any of that. I've been alive. I'm 48. I've been alive long enough to know where the lies are, because I remember the lies that were told when I was a child.
Which ones?
We're going to have a new ice age.
Ice age, yep.
Then we're going to all be on fire.
I
actually still even was believing that through who's the former vice president did the
Al Gore.
Al Gore. Yeah, Al Gore's doomsday predictions.
That's right. He said the Earth has the fever, and we got to make sure that we get rid of oil because the Earth has the fever, and we got to give it its aspirin. Yeah,
he was totally serial about that too.
Oh, he's serial today.
And now they're having to take down the signs on different things that say by 2020 this won't even be here.
Yeah.
There will be no more water. This will be under sea level and things. And there was a guy, I think his name's Dan Pena, the billionaire guy.
Yeah.
This old kind of angry, preachy guy, but I get it. and he says, look, you know how you know that they know that it's a lie? It's because they're still buying beachfront property, and banks owned by liberals are still giving out the loans. And they wouldn't do that if they thought they're giving out a 30-year loan. If they thought it was going to be destroyed in 10 years, they wouldn't be doing that. And they wouldn't be insuring those properties.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who was an admitted socialist in the Democrat Party, said that Earth was going to be irreparably damaged in 12 years. She said this 4 years ago. So we got 8 years left. Now, China builds, on average, 1 coal-fired power plant a week.
You're kidding.
No, on average. It can be, sometimes it's a little less in China, right? So, according to the American left, China is constructing planet killers. They're going to destroy all life. China is the number 1 emitter of CO2 on the planet.
Oh, that's for sure.
Now, America is not. But there has not been one initiative announced by any Democrat to go into China and force them to shut. Now, if we are all going to be dead because of communist China, we have 8 years left to turn this around. No Democrat is proposing we go into China and force them to shut down their planet killers. It's only American energy that has to come offline. Now, why do you think that is? Is capitalist CO2 the only threat to the environment? Communist CO2 is you can just breathe that in, you sit in your living room, just breathe that in, everything's fine? No, there's nothing scientific about that. The agenda is to destroy the American economy and the ability of people to resist a totalitarian government. That's the game.
Yeah. Well, and with electric cars, whoever controls the electric grid controls whether you can even travel. And with all the electric cars, they can turn them on and off.
Right.
Yeah.
At their choice.
And that's what happened in California. Can you not charge we have a little heat wave coming, and we don't want rolling blackouts, so don't charge your electric vehicles, says the state that just said by 2035 we're only going to be selling new electric vehicles.
And who also says, though, in the next 5 years we're going to have rolling blackouts because we don't have enough energy. Yet you're going to make that problem exponentially worse. There's 18 houses on in this particular neighborhood. If 2 of us have electric cars, it blows our electric grid.
Wow.
If we had to charge our cars, based statistically.
4 times the normal amount of a household energy generation requirements if 2 adults in the family have an electric vehicle. It will increase energy consumption by 4 times. Where's that going to come from?
Jennifer, where's it going to come from?
Now I'm listening to all this, and I'm like sitting here going, they're worried about China destroying the planet and China doing this, but we're doing that.
Yeah, they're not worried about China. They're not doing any. This administration and the left is doing nothing to counter China. Yeah. Nothing.
And they're just destroying it. And have you seen the cities that have popped up around the world, as opposed to our cities? New York used to be most amazing place on earth.
Dubai is beautiful.
Dubai is amazing. Dubai is unbelievable human creation.
Have you seen Belize?
I have not.
Belize is probably one of the most beautiful merging of technology and sophisticated building techniques and nature.
Oh, wow.
Check out Belize.
I'm going to go to Belize this year then.
Yeah, it is.
I've seen pictures.
Yeah, there are a lot.
It's
absolutely gorgeous.
So how are they able? Well, one, I know Dubai is because not that this is the right type of structure, but don't they have a king?
Well, the reason why they can do it is fossil fuels.
Well, fossil fuels is what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Oil money. That's where the wealth comes from. And that's why they want to shut down oil in the United States, because they don't want the United States to be the world's superpower anymore.
Nothing about this green energy agenda makes financial sense, makes sense for the benefit of the United States economy, or for the betterment of our people. Right. None of it does.
It doesn't make technological sense. It makes no sense.
No, it makes absolutely. When you're allowing advanced battery technology to fall into the hands of the communists, it's that the last thing on their mind is the benefit of this country. So you got to ask yourselves, who are my political opponents? What's their end game? Who are they working for?
That's what I'm.
Have you traveled to any communist countries?
I think no.
I went to Cuba.
Oh.
And I went to Cuba, so I went to Cuba on a cruise ship.
They'd probably shoot me if I walked in.
And we landed early. And disembarked, and Havana was basically empty. And so we walked in the places that the tourists aren't really particularly supposed to walk, which is one street that way, right? One street. You've got, it's full of feces, flies, it's horrible.
Poverty.
The people are emaciated. It is terrible. And you can look at North Korea. You can look at this at night on the global picture.
Yep.
You got South Korea. You can see the outline because it's lit. And North Korea, there is no light. It's the difference between life and freedom versus tyranny and oppression.
In one picture.
Picture.
That's pretty stark. And frankly, we've turned over this country to the likes of the North Koreans.
How so?
The individuals who are currently running our government, notice I didn't specify party, have a mindset that is decidedly collectivist, decidedly centralized power.
Yeah.
And that
If you spend too much time in Washington, D.C., how can you not? You're surrounded by that. All of us are products of the environment that we allow ourselves to be in.
I agree.
Well, that is a great way to end this episode of the Lawyer Dana podcast. So, Chris, you are on it's
Newsmax.
3 to 4 Central,
Central,
but 4 to
correct.
5 Eastern, Monday through Friday, and on
Newsmax.
Newsmax.
Yes.
And you are also the director of the Conservative Hispanic Society.
Executive director there and still on radio. I do a podcast too, the Salcedo Storm podcast. Radio is on in Houston, and we simulcast that. There's an app for that, so you can hear it all over the country. So it's
Awesome.
yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you
It's really good, so watch it.
for joining us. And like, subscribe, comment. Tell us if you liked it, if you hated it. The comments help us, please. If you hated it and you want to, it'll help us go viral. So go ahead and put it on there.
Just remember, we
but-
all have a voice in this world.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether or not you agree with us or you disagree with us. We all have a voice. So
Have
remember
the
that.
conversation.
Have the conversation.
Yes.
And also, hard work does pay off. You can better yourself. Don't look to our government. Don't look to other people. It's all in you. The power is in with you. It's with you, in you. You can do it. If you're in the United States, you have American privilege. Make something of it. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't, because you really can. One step at a time. Next best decision. And we'll see you in the next show.
The Lawyer Dana Podcast.